On comp. Ooh, VR as well.
Right. Let's have a look. So I need to. Yep. Yeah, I'll have a race. Should. Yep, we're looking good. Ugh. It's a bit too far back. Yeah. Fine. How many laps is it? 7 laps. Got a PB on here now. Oh. Let's have a little look what loads. $80 and $90. Okay. I'll go with that. cheeky dive on the inside. Done the job. So much better than VR. Just the track's more wider. Just see more of the track. Just get the car hooked up better. I think I need to bring the brake power down a little bit. Ah. Sorry man. Even though that's the computer. Broke too early. What's that? Yeah. Oh, didn't want to come out of async. What's this man? Ugh. Get a bit of motion sickness off that. Okay, yeah. Oh, what is he on? So that down to 75 and this down to 85. I think that'll be good. Yeah, and then let's just load up quiet a second. Check the same. 75, 85. Should be good. Yeah. So I'll just load that up. Try that again. Fingers crossed. Whoa, just got spun out. This is an alright opportunity. Let me see if the FPS goes up. Yeah, straight away, look at that. As soon as the pack goes away, we're getting. That's what you want. What I'm going to do is I need to check something on the race. Optimum, that's what we want. Clear. Temperature. The last race, the temperature was 22. So I'm going to leave it on 22 there. Let me just save that. Yeah. It's a bit early in the morning, that. On midday. Come on. Anyway. Yeah. Tracks at optimum. Boom, boom, ding, ding. Let's go again. My fault. Cold brakes, cold tyres. Gotta expect this in the real race. Whoa! Trying to jump out of async now. It's the final lap. Pretty sure that. Let's see if anything's running in the background. Oh, can't do that. It's weird, huh? Let's press that. Be easier. No, not really. No. So needs to change anything there. No, I don't think so. Track date. Track day, 7 opponents. That actually. I needed to push the graphics. Let's go with that. Got 10 minutes to go. Brake check me. No, he's still there. Oh god. Oh shit. Try this one fifth. Oh, fog's down.
Last lap.
Damn it. Double turn. Too sharp. Right. This one. That's what it comes through as default. I'll have a quick look at that and then I'll call it a day. We'll try it. Try something. Oh, my phone. This one.
We saved $85 by literally clicking twice and installing a free browser add-on. Honey, anytime you check out on
What's going on, guys? It is Pangina here, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys the 2020 Ultimate Guide to the NVIDIA Control Panel settings. Inside of this video, we're going to be going through all of the NVIDIA Control Panel settings, showing you guys the best settings depending on which graphics card you have installed to your machine, to allow you to completely optimize your graphics card at the driver level to ensure that you guys are getting the best visuals and performance with inside of the games, and making sure that everything is set up correctly. If you guys have seen my previous guide to the NVIDIA Control Panel settings, make sure that you do follow along with this video, or if you've never seen any of my videos before, make sure that you do stick around and watch all of the steps with inside of this video, as there has been a plethora of updates to the NVIDIA drivers, adding in brand new highly anticipated features alongside many bug fixes, and many of the settings have changed from my previous video. As always, guys, if you guys do enjoy this video, actually be reset every time you update your GPU driver. So assuming you guys are now running on the latest NVIDIA driver, simply then go ahead and right click on your desktop and you should now be seeing the NVIDIA control panel. Once inside of the NVIDIA control panel, we're going to start off with the left hand side. We're going to go from the top to the bottom, starting off with the adjust image settings with preview. With inside of here, what we're going to be doing is navigating to the middle option, selecting use the advanced 3D image settings, and then press apply. Once you guys have selected that, navigate to the Manage 3D Settings tab on the left hand side, and this is going to be the most important tab within inside of this entire video. Make sure that you follow along with these options as closely as possible. Some of them might be a slight bit different depending on which graphics card you have and if the options are available to you, but do follow these as closely as possible. So to start off with image sharpening. If you have the image sharpening option available, you should definitely use this, as this will enhance the visuals on DirectX 9, 10, 11 and 12 games. Going into the settings options, turning this on, allowing sharpen to be set to around about 50% with an ignore film grain of 0.17. And if you guys have supporting graphics cards and have the options available to you, make sure that you do enable the option for GPU scaling, as this will enable a bunch of custom resolutions within inside of games which will scale natively to your monitor's native resolution. For example, if your monitor is a 1080p monitor, this will allow you to play games at a lower resolution than 1080p and properly upscale the game to your monitor's 1080p native resolution. This is especially good for some of you guys running on lower end graphics cards, or if you wish to get the best FPS possible in most games you play, you should always have this option enabled. Even if you don't wish to use it, you should always have this enabled if you can. Next up is going to be ambient occlusion. Ambient occlusion is going to be recommended to set to the performance option. Anisotropic filtering is going to be set to application controlled. Anti-aliasing FXAA I'd recommend turning to the off position. Anti-aliasing gamma correction, turning this on. Anti-aliasing mode should be set to application controlled. Anti-aliasing transparency should be switched to off. CUDA GPUs should be set to all. And that now brings us down to DSR factors, which is dynamic super resolution. This allows you to play games and render them at a higher resolution than your native monitor supports, allowing you to play 1440p, 4K up to 8K on a 1080p monitor, or if you're running on a 4K monitor, you could upscale all the way up to around about 8K, or as far as your GPU will allow you to render. For most people, I wouldn't recommend using this option, especially assuming most people watching this video are looking for the best settings in terms of performance and visuals, and DSR is really just there for some of you who like to play single player games and want the best visual experience possible. If you are going to enable DSR factors, I'd recommend turning on 2 times and 4 times only, but for most of you watching this video, I wouldn't recommend using this and unchecking everything with inside of here, pressing OK.
Watch this.
And that will switch it to off. If you guys do set up DSR factors, it's recommended you set your DSR smoothness to 0% or at most 10%. You can play around with that, it's personal preference, but I'd recommend turning that all the way to 0. That now brings us down to low latency mode, which is one of the most important options within inside of here. For low latency mode, if you guys are capable of getting over about 80 FPS in most games, I'd recommend switching this to the on position, as this will drastically help you decrease input lag within inside of the game, allowing the game to feel a lot more snappier and responsive, and can also help out boost your FPS. Underneath low latency mode, that now brings us down to max frame rate. With inside of here, I recommend switching this to the off position unless you guys are wanting the smoothest experience possible. If you guys do want the smoothest experience possible, it's recommended switching this to the on position and setting this to match your monitor's refresh rate. If you guys are running on a 240Hz monitor, set this to 240. If you're running on a 144Hz monitor, set this to 144. Do bear in mind that games will not run past this FPS, and this FPS will be a hard cap at a driver level, allowing you guys for a lot faster frame times and more stable frame times, so you'll be left with a more stable game. But for most of you watching this video, I would recommend turning this off. Monitor technology. If G-Sync is available to you with inside of here, you can use it if you wish to do so. There is a brief explanation on the right hand side of the screen now, which will basically sum up how G-Sync works. For me, I'm running on a 240Hz monitor, so I don't wish to use G-Sync, and I'm going to be using fixed refresh. Navigating down to multi-frame sampled AA, I'm going to be switching this off for the best FPS possible. Navigating down to the OpenGL rendering GPU, switching this off of auto select and selecting the graphics card in which we have installed. Power management mode, again this is one of the most important options with inside of here for ensuring that you guys are getting the best FPS and the most stable FPS possible. Change this off of optimal power and switch it to prefer maximum performance. Under the preferred refresh rate option, I'd recommend switching this off of application controlled and selecting this to highest available. Shader cache should be switched to the on position. Texture filtering anisotropic sample optimization should be switched to on. Texture filtering anisotropic sampling optimizations should be switched to the on position. Texture filtering negative LOD bias should be set to allow. Texture filtering quality should be switched off of quality and set to high performance. Rate option, I'd recommend switching this off of application controlled and selecting this to highest available. Shader cache should be switched to the on position. Texture filtering anisotropic sample optimizations should be switched to on. Texture filtering anisotropic sampling optimizations should be switched to the on position. Texture filtering negative LOD bias should be set to allow. Texture filtering quality should be switched off of quality and set to high performance. Texture filtering trilinear optimization should be switched to on. Threaded optimization should be set to auto. Triple buffering should be turned off. For vertical sync, we're going to be going inside of the 3D option and switching this to off. And last but not least, going down to the bottom to virtual reality pre-rendered frames and setting this to 1. And that concludes the best settings. Be switched to the on position. Texture filtering negative LOD bias should be set to allow. Texture filtering quality should be switched off of quality and set to high performance. Texture filtering trilinear optimization should be switched to on. Threaded optimization should be set to auto. Triple buffering should be turned off. For vertical sync, we're going to be going inside of the 3D option and switching this to off. And last but not least, going down to the bottom to virtual reality pre-rendered frames and setting this to 1. And that concludes the best settings. Once you guys have got all of those options set up correctly, take yourself to the bottom right hand side and click the apply button. We can then take ourselves over to the left hand side once again to configure surround. With inside of here, go to the physics settings, go to processor, go to the drop down menu and select your graphics card once again. Make sure that you press apply after setting all of these changes. We can then navigate over to the change resolution tab, starting off by selecting our main monitor on the left hand side. You may have more than one monitor connected to your PC and you'll see them all listed here. We're going to start off by going over to our main monitor, selecting the highest resolution under the PC category available. For me that's going to be 1920 by 1080 and ensuring that you've got your refresh rate set up correctly by going to the drop down menu and selecting the highest refresh rate within inside of here. For me I have 240 Hz. You can then scroll all the way down to the bottom, come down and select the option for use NVIDIA color settings, make sure this is set to full in the bottom right hand side and press apply.
I used to manage my team with spreadsheets. It was a nightmare. And then we switched to Monday.com. Monday.com is a platform to track.
Make sure that you accept the changes by selecting yes. We can then navigate back over to the left hand side to adjust desktop color settings. With inside of here, it's recommended that you go down to the bottom to the apply the following enhancements, go to the digital vibrance tab and I recommend bumping this up from 50%. I personally like the value of 80 as it makes everything look a lot more vibrant, adds a lot of saturation to colors, as my monitor is typically very washed out from stock, so tune this to your personal preference. Once you've selected a value you're happy with, make sure that you go to the bottom right hand side and apply that value. For the rotate display tab, this can be changed if you wish to do so, especially for other monitors. It means you can actually set them to portrait mode, but we're going to be ignoring this for the optimization video. We can then skip all of the following options on the left hand side and going down to adjust, select the option for use NVIDIA color settings, make sure this is set to full in the bottom right hand side and press apply. Make sure that you accept the changes by selecting yes. We can then navigate back over to the left hand side to adjust desktop color settings. With inside of here, it's recommended that you go down to the bottom to the apply the following enhancements, go to the digital vibrance tab and I recommend bumping this up from 50%. I personally like the value of 80 as it makes everything look a lot more vibrant, adds a lot of saturation to colors, as my monitor is typically very washed out from stock, so tune this to your personal preference. Once you've selected a value you're happy with, make sure that you go to the bottom right hand side and apply that value. For the rotate display tab, this can be changed if you wish to do so, especially for other monitors. It means you can actually set them to portrait mode, but we're going to be ignoring this for the optimization video. We can then skip all of the following options on the left hand side and going down to adjust desktop size and position. We're then going to head over to the adjust desktop size and position tab. With inside of here, it's important that you go to the scaling mode and you can set any of the scaling modes available with inside of here. For most people, you're going to be wanting to set this to either aspect ratio or full screen if you wish to have whatever game it is at any resolution fill the entire screen. But for any of you guys that run on pixel art games or games that run in a much lower resolution, if you want them to look at their best, there is a fantastic option available to you in the latest GeForce drivers, which is actually going to be the integer scaling option found with inside of here. This will help properly scale the pixels from lower resolution games to your monitor's native resolution, making older, lower end games look a lot better on modern hardware. For you guys that run on the native resolution to your monitor all of the time with inside of every single game you play, you might actually get the best performance by selecting the no scaling option. So depending on your use case, select any of the options with inside of here. Make sure that you do select the GPU scaling to be performed on the GPU. Override the scaling mode set by games. Change your resolution to any resolution you wish to do so, but I do recommend keeping this native. And make sure that your refresh rate is set to the highest possible. Once you guys are done with inside of there, navigate to the bottom right hand side and press apply. Then navigating over to the left hand side to set up G-Sync, if you have this option available to you, I recommend turning this off for high-end gaming PCs running above 144Hz. If you guys have a decent graphics card and a decent refresh rate monitor, G-Sync is not recommended as it will add a slight input latency and it's completely unnecessary. If you guys are running on lower end graphics cards and running on 144Hz or below, you might find that enabling G-Sync actually allows for a much smoother experience. So, low to medium end PCs, use G-Sync. Medium to high end PCs, it's recommended that you turn this off. Unless you're using a 1440p or 4K monitor and are outputting your games at that resolution, then I would keep G-Sync enabled. With inside of these set up multiple display tabs, you can set up all of your displays here to be changed in terms of priority, and you can also change the affinity of the displays in the screen below. Let's say if you have a second monitor that sits to the left of your normal monitor and you want that to behave correctly, you'll see a number 2 box inside of here and you'll simply drag the number 2 box to the left hand side if your secondary monitor is to the left of your main display. If your secondary monitor is above, you can set the second monitor and drag the box to the top of the number 1 box, or you can set it to the right hand side, or any way you wish to do so depending on where your secondary monitors are. Once you guys have got that set up, if you wish to set that up, go ahead and press apply once again, then finishing up and coming down to the adjust video color settings and starting off with using the NVIDIA settings. With inside of here once again, go to the advanced tab, come off of limited and go to full 0 to 255 and press apply once again. Once you guys are done with inside of there, you can then go ahead and exit out, and it's recommended that you quickly restart your machine just to ensure that all of the settings have been applied properly to the driver and the driver is running them successfully. And there you guys have it. That is the 2020 Ultimate Guide to setting up your NVIDIA control panel settings. If you guys are looking for further optimizations and performance bump, I recommend turning this off for high-end gaming PCs. Tabs, you can set up all of your displays here to be changed, or any way you wish to do so depending on apply once again. Once you guys are done with inside of there, you can then go ahead and exit out, and it's recommended that you quickly restart your machine just to ensure.
Right, let's see how this goes. Let's restart this. Spoke too late. Someone's crashed there, look. My brother crashed. Right, that's it for me.